Blog Talk Radio. Chatting with Nat is a podcast for independent women seeking to speak their truth and to break down barriers. We host honest conversations that help to guide and empower women. Speak your truth and set yourself free. Let your voice be heard. Hi everyone, it's Chatting with Nat. Yes, it's Natalie Jean, it's Natalie Jean, and today we have pop artist Shawney Rainne. I hope I said her last name right. Nashville-based pop artist Shawney Rainne has blended elements of pop, soul, and blues to create a truly unique music experience. Shawney uses her music to tell a story and wants to use her platform to inspire. Shawney has recently been featured on MTV's and has been working with SWV's member Taj George and gearing up to release several new singles summer and fall of 2021. During COVID, like many creatives, she used this time to rediscover herself and has taken all her music down from social platforms in order to completely rebrand and rediscover herself. July 31st, she will be officially announcing the release of her new music and her newfound identity. Let's give her a round of applause.
Thank you so much for that introduction. That was so fun.
Yes, I have to give you a warm welcome plus my two hands and that. So how are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's a little hot in Nashville, so I'm hiding from the outdoors currently, but I'm doing great.
I feel your vibe. Here in Maryland, it's kind of crazy. It's hot, but I'm also going through hot flashes. Any heat is like bad for me. I can't even begin. I could just go into a sordid detail of these hot flashes. It's not fun.
No, I can only imagine.
Yeah. And you know what? Not every woman gets them, but I got them, and they can last for 7 years. I'm dying here.
Ooh.
But enough about me. Yeah, that's what I said when my mom told me she had them for 7 years. I was like, I don't think I'll make it. I
don't think I could make it. Hot flashes are not anything to mess around with.
I've never seen anything like this. And one more thing, I was asking somebody, has any woman ever committed murder while they were on menopause? I wouldn't be shocked because you're
probably.
You're
probably.
So crazy. You're so crazy. Now, I'm not going to do that, but you're so crazy. It's crazy. So how have you been doing this pandemic?
The pandemic was a little wacky, to be honest. I feel like I went through every phase. There was the phase where I'm like, I'm going to get so much accomplished. I'm going to write. I'm going to learn a new skill. And then, fast forward a week later, and I'm like drinking a bottle of wine by myself and just like being so emotional and just like on the floor, like thinking the world is ending. So now I'm kind of at the point where I'm like back, like at more of a normal head. Feel like things are doable again and manageable again, and as things start to open back up in Nashville, I feel like I'm starting to feel more like my normal self before COVID hit us.
I mean, I get you. I mean, during COVID, I was like, yeah, okay. I was working from home. I have this smart keyboard that I've had in a box for 5 years, and I'm like, I'm going to take it out. I'm going to learn how to play the piano. I'm going to write a musical. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And I sat and some Oreo cookies. I drank. Yes, I did. I drank. I
drank a lot.
I drank a sour beer every night. Child, my butt couldn't get out of the door anymore. I was like, I mean, it was just like, I think the pandemic made some of us very numb. Like we had these ideas, we were going to accomplish all this stuff because like this was almost like free time. The pandemic was crazy. People were dying and all that stuff, and it was bad. But then there's some positive things that happened through it. And we're like, we're going to do all these things, but we're still numb because we're thinking, am I living in a pandemic where I have to wear a mask or I can't go outside, I can't be near these people. It is crazy. And so
and you don't know when it's going to end, you know?
Exactly. Just last night, I was laying down and I was watching the Olympics on my phone, and I was like, I just can't believe there's a pandemic. Who would have ever thought that we would see something like this in our time? Like, we know about these things way back 100 years ago, but we would never thought something like this would happen. So I see that. You're a courageous lady. I see that you're just like, I'm taking all my stuff off of the social media platform, off of streaming. I'm just going to redo everything.
Yeah.
I'm just going to redo my thing. You really thought it through. So my next question is always, since you had that downtime, did you think about, the type of artist that you wanted to be? Did you want to write different music? You want to be an effective player? What may take everything off and I'm going to start new?
Well, I feel like before the pandemic, I was just kind of throwing things out there without a plan. And I feel like a lot of the songs I had released were kind of all over the place. And I really wanted people to know me when they listen to my music and kind of know what I'm trying to say, what I'm trying to do, what my intentions are, and who I am as not just an artist, but as a person, because that's really important to me. Like, I'm very passionate about people and building relationships and just like, exposing my heart. And I think before COVID, I was more focused on, the entrepreneur side of being an artist and less of the showing who I was. And so as a result, I feel like that was being reflected in what I was putting out and the music I was choosing to put out and how like rushed some of my releases were. And now I really wanted to sit back and I had several experiences that made me realize that I needed to do some soul searching, not even as an artist, but as a person. And so once I started down that journey, I kind of really felt that I wanted to rebrand and reapproach how I was representing myself and how I was telling my story.
Wow, that's courageous. I love it. You know what? You got to be do you, and you got to be you, and you got to be your authentic self. You got to make sure that
one of my favorite sayings, or I guess expressions, is authenticity over perfection. I think before I was so focused on perfection, I wanted everything to be really good and I wanted people to like really like me, you know what I mean? And it's not about that. It's about not people liking me, but maybe just like knowing who I am and then choosing whether or not they like vibe with it. You know what I mean? Like I shouldn't that shouldn't be my focus. And I think before I kind of got caught up in that a little bit, and I don't think I was representing myself in a true light.
I get that 100% because, recently this year I've been putting out these inspirational quotes and the word authentic kept coming back to me. Authentic, about being real, loving yourself first, not caring about what people think. Like, I was raised in a house. My parents come from Haiti, and the Haitians are always caring about what people think. And, and I grew up like that. And later in life, I started to change. I said, I'm not going to live up to what you want me to be. I have to be what I'm supposed to be. And if people don't like that, that's tough on them. I really don't care. But I had to learn to love myself and love everything about myself. And know that, but you have, and when you're creating music also, that music is subjective. Not everybody's going to love yourself, but there are people going to love it. You just do you. Because there's always going to be somebody going to love your stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think I kind of hit that same, or went through that same experience where, I grew up just kind of living how I was told to, doing what I was told to do and, yada, yada. But I never really did what I wanted to do. And I never really lived my authentic life. And I got to a point in life where it was necessary. Like I had to do some soul searching. I had to like go down what I call a spiritual journey to where I really dove into what it was that I wanted and what I needed, you know, in order to be myself. And I needed that to be my focus and less of what I thought other people wanted of me.
Yeah, I completely get that. It's crazy how people want you to just accept them, and they won't accept you for who you are. It really it's super 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 duper duper crazy. Now, how is the Nashville scene when it comes to your type of music? Obviously, you do pop, soul, blues. How has Nashville embraced you?
You know, Nashville is a interesting place. I personally think that there are more talented non-country artists here than there are country artists, because I feel like the country music market here is so saturated that it all kind of starts to sound the same.
Right.
But like the hip hop scene, the R&B scene, the pop scene, it's all kind of like underground. But these artists just like kind of blow me away. I'm just like, whoa, like how are you in Music City where it's like known for country music? And I think it's allowed me to really dive deeper as an artist and really want to do better.
That's
and
great.
Learn and grow from them. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been to Nashville several times, and what I love downtown where you go to listen to all the music. I was just in awe of the fact that you had one restaurant and it was like music in one room, music in a different room, and a different
everywhere. Every floor.
And I mean, and people are just vibing. They're just having a great time, and you're just like, oh my God, this is I love it. What was it about the music industry or music period where you were like, whoa, this is what I want to do with my life? Was it a performance? Was it something that you heard that got you all excited?
You know, this might be a very long-winded answer, but it was kind of a sequence of events. So I started writing and singing when I was really young, probably about like 10 to 12. And so I actually grew up in a very strict house. And so my parents didn't allow us to listen to music, didn't allow us to watch TV. We were very sheltered, very Christian, very conservative. And so I started writing poems and then when I was younger, and then I started putting them to music, and we had a piano that was more so for like decoration, if anything, in our house. Like nobody played it. And so when no one was home, I would try to like match what I was singing to the notes on the piano. And so that was like my first introduction to, and that was my favorite time to really, express myself, and really like I loved when nobody was home because that's what I wanted to do. And then fast forward several years, and I was a runner, and so I was on, running, and I think I was in like 7th or 8th grade, and on the side of the road, I saw a CD, and it ended up being Maroon 5 CD, Songs About Jane, that album. And again, when nobody was home, I would listen to the CD. I learned all of the songs. I would like perform for myself, you know what I mean? Like with a fake mic, using my hand as a mic. And that, I didn't realize that I was like, those were things that artists want to do, and I just loved just kind of the idea of performing and not really understanding that that's what I was doing. And then, I graduated high school, went to college, ran track and field, and was, known as the athlete. And I still hid that side of myself. Like I never told anybody that I wanted to sing. I never told people that I wrote. I just kept that all to myself. And I kind of had a crisis period in college where I was just so unhappy. Like I didn't know what I wanted to do. Like I was, my parents told me that like I should be preparing for law school. So all of my courses were like geared towards law school. And I was just so unhappy. And I had a breakdown where I just quit track. I dropped out of school, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And I just kind of panicked. And one of my friends, they asked me, like, what is it that you, like, really want to do? And I was like, I don't know. And they're like, no, like, if you had to pick something, what is it that you want to do? And I was like, well, I want to sing. And that's the first time I actually admitted it to myself. And then I just decided right then and there that I was going to move to Nashville, and I had no idea what I was doing, no clue. I didn't even know what that meant. Like, I didn't even know what moving to Nashville meant. I just was like, I feel like that's a place where there are a lot of musicians, so I'm going to go there. So and it took me years. It took me years before I even told anybody in Nashville that I wanted to do music and that I, tried to even pursue it. But one of my mentors, I met him at Panera of all places, and he literally just walked up to me and he's like, you look like you're an artist. And I was like, and then I was like, yeah, I sing. And that's the first time I admitted to anybody that I sang. And after I had, like, admitted it out loud to him, like, it just kind of all made sense to me. And he was like, send me your music. And, it was quite some time before I felt like I had anything to send him that was, like, worth anything. And he's been mentoring me ever since. He's introduced me to some really great people in the music industry. And he's family now.
I love that. I love those kind of stories, almost discovered in a coffee shop. Beautiful stories like that. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah. Honestly, it just, like, he just walked up to me. He's like, you look like an artist. I'm like, what do I say?
When you write your autobiography, you have something to say. People are going to be like, oh, my God, that can happen to me, too. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So you do pop, soul, and blues. So describe
Yes,
what your music is like. What is your writing process like?
So I really can only write if I'm really feeling something. So I'm a situational writer. I wrote a lot more when I was younger because I was, I didn't really have anybody to talk to or anybody to really express to what I was feeling.
Right.
And so that was my only outlet. But now, I have, like, friends and, and seeing someone. So, and my brother, like, we're a lot closer now. So I have more outlets.
Okay.
But when I'm really feeling something, it'll just weigh down on me until it just pours out. And so I'm not very good at, like, sitting down and trying to, like, force something. I just have to kind of wait for it to hit me. And then once that happens, I'll just sit and write and sing whatever I'm feeling or whatever hits me, and then I'll just record it. And I don't stop the recorder. I just record. Like, I hit play, and then I just kind of sit there and feel and sing whatever it is that I'm, going through. And then I usually don't do anything with it for a while, and then I'll come back to it when I feel a little more, like, level-headed. And then I'll bring it to a producer, and I'll match it to a beat, or, so it's kind of a long process, but that's the only way I've been able to write.
You remind me of me. I can't force myself to write. So I will stare at the paper or the computer. Yes, I still use computer for hours and say,
yes.
Lord,
yes.
something come through, because Natalie has nothing.
Nashville's very big about co-writes. So, when I first was like, I'm going to do this artist thing, I tried doing the co-writing thing, and it was the most awkward experiences ever. Like, I would just sit in the room and, like we would just stare at each other, or they would be like, oh, this is how you write a song. And I'm like, all right, cool. Like, it's just very weird for me, at least.
Okay. But I have my own process, and it works for me, and that's all I got to say.
Yes.
No, I completely get that. Because, and I've done a lot of collaborations, so I've been lucky to work with people that are great writers. Sometimes I let them write first, and they send me their stuff, and I'm like, oh, this sounds great. Let me add my little 2 cents to it. But I get the whole collaboration thing, because sometimes you can have different mindsets, or you write a different way. I'm not an advocate all the time for, writing verse, chorus, verse, blah, blah, blah. In my recent writings, I've written songs more like poetry.
Yeah.
Right now I'm writing a song and it's verse, chorus, verse. It's driving crazy. I'm just trying to be a little traditional, because I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to say here? I have so much to say. How do I say it? I don't want to use that word. Wow. But no, but I love artists that write the way that they want to write. There's no reason that we have to stick to a certain way. But I know in Nashville, there's very sticklers for a certain way of writing. Even when I some songs in songwriting contests, and they'll give feedback, and they said, I would have done this, but I said, but that's not what I did, and that's not what you. I feel like you can't tell me how to express my emotions or my words in a song that I'm writing. For example, I wrote about my own sexual assault, and what did it? It got it won something, but the person came back and says, well, I would have done this. It's like, how are you going to tell me about my own
period?
Basically, and
period.
How to express that though? How are you going to do that?
Wow.
So it's like, okay, thanks, whatever. But that's that. I understand you completely. That's what I'm saying. I understand you completely. So we're going to play your song. Let's see which song we're gonna play your song, Reflection. Tell me what that's about.
Okay, so that is about I'm adopted, and my birth mom passed away when I was 3, and it's always just left this giant hole in my heart. And when I started on the spiritual journey that I keep mentioning, I kept seeing her face in the mirror when I would look into the mirror, and it would always make me do a double take. And so I sat down, and this was a poem first. It was a spoken word poem that I put to a track, but it's just describing how I'm feeling, or how I felt when I kept seeing her, and I was trying to understand what that meant and why I kept seeing her in the mirror.
I love it already. I loved it. All right. Let me play some Reflection.
In the mirror, saw your face. Had to stop and do a double take, 'cause I miss you. Don't you know I need you? I only see you when I'm feeling low. Then you leave me and I'm all alone. But I need you. Don't you know I need you? Your reflection is all I see. Looking at the dark side of me, I need you. Don't you know I need you? I met you in a dark place. You're trying to escape, because I need you. Don't you know I need you? Never thought I'd make it this far. My soul's in chains and I'm torn apart. I need you. Don't you know I need you? Just trying to survive, looking for love, 'cause I've been deprived. I need you. Don't you know I need you? Your reflection is all I see. Looking at the dark side of me, I need you. Don't you know I need you? I met you in a dark place. You're trying to
That was beautiful.
I love that applause.
Don't you let me get
Thank
you.
Yeah, it does.
I love it.
Thank you.
What do you love most about being an artist?
I love the expression of it. I honestly, like, if like nothing ever comes of this, or if nobody ever hears my music or ever cares, I'm at the point now where I realize how important it is for me to be able to express myself and to really like have an outlet that makes sense to me. And that is what I love the most about it, is just that I have something that's completely my own, that is all me, 100% me, and I get to kind of mold and create and heal how I need to. And that is my favorite part about it. And when performing, I think my favorite part about that is like somebody else might relate to saying or what happened or just the emotion that is being conveyed, and just all of that to me is an expression, you know. So that's what I love about being an artist.
That's awesome. I love that. So one of the things you told me in your emails that you changed your last name. So tell me about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this is actually a COVID thing. I don't have the best relationship with my adopted family, and I really struggled moving past, you know, how I was raised and a lot of the trauma I had to work through, and we weren't speaking, and we hadn't spoken for years, and I was at this point where I was really trying to heal and move past, you know, things that I had kind of suppressed for years, and instead of trying to deal with them, I just was running from them. And so I was at a point where I was like, I feel like in order to really move past this, like I need to change my last name. And so Rainne actually symbolizes rebirth and baptism, and not in like the traditional or Christian sense, but just as a fresh start, you know, and just a new beginning, you know, like water symbolizes washing something old away and emerging with something new and potentially better and fresh. And that's what I really wanted to feel and to kind of convey with Rainne. And so, yeah, I changed my last name, which is very on brand for me, being very dramatic.
Hey, you're setting yourself free. You're setting
yourself. Exactly.
So you don't need it. You don't need it. I like it.
No, ma'am.
And you gotta be you. You gotta be you. What, out of all of your songs, which one do you love to perform and why?
Ooh, I love to perform Disease.
Okay.
Because that song's actually about my adopted mom. And so, again, I wrote this when I was going through this journey and trying to understand myself, and it just hit me. Like, I sat down on the floor, and I was like, I don't know what it is that I'm trying to say, and then it came out of me in, like, minutes. And I realized that I was still really hurt from how she treated me. And when I perform that song, I think it's part of me. Like, every time I perform it, I feel like I'm kind of standing up for myself. And I never did that as a kid. And even as an adult, I've never actually, you know, stood up for myself and be like, you know, you really hurt me. And I think I get to do that when I perform that song in particular. And I didn't realize how important that was for me to do that and to feel that. And it's empowering. And I think that's, once I wrote that song and recorded that song, and, you know, I released it, I took it down, but I'm going to include it on my album. But once I wrote that song, I was like, wow, like I have some things to work through.
Yeah, no, and music is so therapeutic. You're like, oh, I didn't know I had all of that in me. Oh my God.
Exactly.
But music helps you through the process also. Sometimes once you sing it or you write it down, it's almost like a release. And the thing is, you know, you can forgive. You can say, you know what? You forgive the person, you move on. You don't ever have to speak to the person ever again. I'm not into that. Well, forgive. You know, you can talk to. No. You can forgive somebody, and you can never see the person again and never talk to them. You don't.
Honestly, that's where I'm at with the majority of my family. I'm past it. I feel like I'm more focused on healing, and so I've forgiven them, and I don't hold on to that resentment anymore. But I also don't intentionally try to reach out to them, and I don't try to include them in my life because I don't think that's healthy for me.
Yeah, and I understand it, and you have to do what's right for yourself. But it's a good segue because we're going to play Disease.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Trying to make this time pass. They tell me to live each day like it's gonna be my last. I've never thought to be myself or put on the face of someone else. In my pressure, my head. You did this to me. You are poison me. You keep on lingering, you're my disease. You're the devil in my head. Tell me I'm not good enough. Can't forget those words you said. So I put these walls up. Burner of my own mind. Wish I could leave the past behind. In my pressure, my heaven. You did this to me. You are poison me. You keep on lingering, you're my disease. You did this to me. Get out of my head. 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 You did this to me. Get out of my. You are poison me. Get out of my head. You did this to me. Get out of my head. You are poison me. Get out of my
I love when you scream, "Get out of my head."
Thank you. Yeah, that's my favorite part, like to perform, to be honest.
I mean, it's very powerful, extremely powerful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Scream it, damn it! You're screaming it at
Yeah,
them.
no, when I was in the studio, I was yelling.
I'm sure that you were. Get in my head. No, I really like that. I'm gonna use that on some people. Yeah, why not? Why not? Because there's some people who just want to get in my head. There's one thing.
I do that a lot. I think I do that a lot when I write. I use the bridge to really like let loose or really like drive in just one thought in particular, one feeling in particular. Right. And, you know, I feel like that's usually a common theme in most of my songs.
I love it. I love it. I love when you can just that part right there is just like a super duper release.
Mhm.
Yes. Release everything just by screaming that part out. Tell us about your upcoming releases. What are those? What are we going to get from you?
Yes. Okay. So it's been so long since I put anything out, and so starting in August. So August. Hold on. Let me actually look. I have this in front of me, my calendar. August 22nd is when I'm going to be debuting, I guess, my new brand. And so I'm going to start putting out a song every 6 weeks for a very long time. I have a lot of songs. I have a lot of things to say, a lot of things that I've held in and held on to. Some of those songs will be repeats because I've released them before, but I didn't really feel like I did them justice. But my goal is 2022 to put out an album. And so I'm going to just do a single at a time and then boom, album. So that's my plan.
Yeah, a lot more people are releasing singles. You know, during the pandemic, I was able to do a lot of webinars on music, social media, TikTok, everything, and people are like, yeah, people are just releasing singles. People don't really do albums anymore. But I believe that if you have a theme for an album, you should go for it. Because if you have especially if you have a lot to say, I think albums are beautiful. They're wonderful. I think people should continue to make them. I get the whole thing because sometimes, now with streaming services, people pick and choose what they want to hear or what they want to buy and stuff like that. People, will buy a CD. Basically, if you're touring and you're selling merch, you're more likely to sell your CDs there. I don't do CDs anymore, but they're expensive. And then you end up having a box full.
They are very expensive. Also, I don't think anybody owns a CD player anymore, so it's just what's
exactly.
the point?
But what's crazy is that some of these places that review music, they still ask for CDs, and I'm like, dude,
seriously?
Go online and just click on the song, and you'll have it right there. It is the most bizarre thing in the world to me. I told this one online thing because they had people that review, and they were asking for CDs, and I'm like, I told them, don't you think that's a bit archaic? I said, if you want a CD, I can burn the songs, but you probably get them a lot faster if you just go online and listen to them. It's not going to hurt you.
Yeah, I honestly wouldn't even know how to burn music onto a CD. I've owned one CD, and that's the CD I told you about earlier with Maroon 5. I've never actually bought a CD.
Oh, my goodness.
So there's that.
I'm old as dirt, so I've had tapes, CDs, I've had albums, real physical vinyl albums. After a while, they just go away, although vinyl apparently is coming back. It's weird.
Yeah, I've heard that.
What's one thing you wish you had known when you began your career?
I wish I would have known that I'm capable and I am able, and I have a gift, and that's not a bad thing to admit. And I think when I first started, it took me a really long time to believe that and to accept that and and I'm not saying that to kind of boost my ego. It's more so it's important as an artist to feel that you're capable, and that even if nobody attention to you right then and right there, it's okay. And also as artists, we have a bad habit of comparing ourselves to other artists and other singers and other writers, and I did that so much in the beginning, and that was very debilitating, and I really struggled with that. And so I wish that I would have known that my journey is my own, and I just focus on my own journey, and that's all that I need.
Amen to that. What is the one common myth about the music industry that you want to debunk?
I feel like there's a lot, but the main thing is that things just happen.
Yes.
I feel like, people that are looking in from an outside perspective, they just, they just hear the music, right? And they're like, oh, wow, like, cool. Or they might see you playing a show that's, like, pretty big, or, I had the opportunity to be on MTV, and people were like, wow, like one person in particular was like, wow, things just happen for you. No, ma'am. Like, it's a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of tears, a lot of rejection, a lot of, like, you name it. And mostly a lot of time, a lot of unpaid time, and you never know if anything is going to happen, right? And so you put your heart and your soul into your projects or into your work or whatever it is you're doing, and you're not always received in the way you might want to be, or your song, you might put hours and hours and hours into a release and nobody cares,
Right.
But you have to keep doing it. You have to get back up and do it again. And, that might take years, it might take decades, it might take days, whatever, but people just like to assume that things just, like, happen and music just appears, and it's not this expensive process and timely process.
Oof. Amen to that. And the thing is also is that, we spend a lot of money doing this music thing, and it'll take years to recoup the amount of money that you invest. Listen, doing music, making music, whatever, is an investment in yourself. Bottom line. Because, we see these mainstream artists and they're making millions and millions of dollars, but they also sound with big labels that are backing them and pushing them. And if you're starting out in this music industry, you know that you're an independent artist and you're going to have to put in the tears, blood, and sweat into it. That's where we are with that. If you wanted to give somebody some advice, what kind of advice would you give? Oh, Shawney dropped. I lost Shawney. No, Shawney, come back. We'll wait for her to come back. We actually have 1 minute and 40 seconds left. Hopefully she'll call back in. Let me see. So I see her number on here. Maybe I'll call her from my phone. And then maybe I'll just end the show. Oh, my God. I'm here talking to myself. I'm like, she's gone. I said, no, don't leave me.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. That was so crazy. It just, like, hung up. I was like, oh, I heard if you wanted to give advice, and then it just disappeared.
So if you wanted to give advice to anybody that wanted to get into this industry, what would it be?
I would say make sure it's what you really want, because it's not easy, and if you're not truly passionate about it, if you're in it for the wrong reasons, if you kind of have, like, if you think it's going to be a quick road to stardom or whatever it is, I think that it's going to be a really upsetting journey. It's going to be worth it. And so for me, I love it. I love every part of it. I love the grind. I love the creation part of it, but it's also, like, really mentally exhausting, and there's so many times that I have given up, you know what I mean? And I come back to it because it's what I want, and it's what I'm passionate about. But if I didn't feel that passion from, like, the time I was a kid until now, like, I would have quit and stopped and not come back to it, So I would say advice that I would give is just make sure it's what you actually want and for the right reasons.
I get it. Yes, amen to that, because you know what? Woo! You just have to have faith in yourself and know that you're going to have to do the work. Amen to that. Because this, and then you know what? And then beware of the scammers.
Yes, and you know what? Like you could be, you could start when you're a teenager and never make it, and make it in your terms. I know that's relative; it's different for everybody what that means, but like you could never get your big break or whatever it is that you're pushing for, and you have to be okay with that. You know what I mean? Like you have to realize that nothing's guaranteed. It's not like a 9 to 5 where you know exactly what you signed up for, you know exactly what you're going to get out of it, and you know exactly what's going to happen in 20 years if you keep at it. You know, there's no measurement to where you're going and what's going to happen. And if you don't accept that, then it's going to crush you.
Amen to that. That's the truth. Well, Shawney, thank you so much for being on Chatting with Nat. It's been my pleasure to getting to know you more, getting to know you well.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Amazing person. And I mean, my God, you're all inspiring. You took everything off and you're pulling back everything up. I love it. I love your story. You're just amazing. Completely amazing.
Thank you. I think you're amazing. It sounds like we have a lot in common, to be honest, from the little that I got to listen to you too.
Yeah, we do have a lot in common. I love that. I love doing these podcasts because you can learn so much from everybody. You know, I don't have the answers to everything, and it's just amazing to hear how many people have had the same journey. Like you, I started out by writing poetry, and then it went from there, and I never knew I could sing at all until I started writing the poetry, and my parents were like, you should they release demo because my father sings, and and even after the demo, I still didn't feel like I was ready because I was going through some personal stuff, and then later in life, bada boom, bada bang, I got into the music industry, and it's been my saving grace. So I understand where you're coming from.
I love that.
And all that good stuff, but I will follow you. I definitely would love to do an IG live with you eventually.
Yes. Yes, let's do it.
Yeah, and you could sing on there. You could do your thing. We could be crazy. Maybe have a glass of wine while we're chatting, but have a good time.
I'm drinking a little wine right now.
All right. I love it. Dude, you got to do it. You got to be you. Do it. But have a great rest of the week. I can't wait to hear your stuff, the rest of your music.
Thank you so much. You have a beautiful week as well.
Same to you. Everybody, that was pop artist Shawney Rainne on Chatting with Nat. It was an honor to have her. Check her out. She's on Instagram. Until next time on Chatting with Nat.
Bye.
Chatting with Nat is a podcast for independent women seeking to speak their truth and to break down barriers. We host honest conversations that help to guide and empower women. Speak your truth and set yourself free. Let your voice be heard.